This is our first in-person meetup as part of Tech Talk here in Berlin around diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. We've done lots of talk. I've done lots of talks previously over my 8-9 years, which I don't love to admit now how long it is, around these subject matters within diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging in technology. And today we're here to discuss how to code inclusion into your teams overall. As I've said, I've been doing this for like 8-9 years, and I work for Cavendish professionals, and we help bring together these environments where everyone can kind of interact, talk, learn from one another's experiences, hopefully uplift, empower, and create positive environments and keep the conversation going. I'm joined today, I'm going to hand it over and I'm going to stop talking to the other panelists, to all of the panelists who I'm thrilled to be joined by, and I'm super appreciative that they've joined me, as well as to Ayo for hosting us in this space. Yeah, I'll hand it over to you, Olivia, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I'm Olivia Golec. I'm professionally a software engineer. I've been working as a software engineer for more than 10 years. And so for the past 2 years, I'm on an adventure of founding a startup, a tech startup here in Berlin. So that's quite exciting. I'm here to share kind of my learnings about building an inclusive and diverse team, but also, and most of all, I think I'm here to listen and to learn from other panelists and from the audience as well. I think it's a very interesting conversation that we're gonna have.
Thanks. We've only got 3 microphones, so we'll just have to pass it. And I will keep forgetting that I've got a microphone in my hand.
Have one to share.
Might not always need one.
So hello, everyone. My name is Ibtihal, and I'm a global talent acquisition leader professional. I have more than 17 years of experience back in the Middle East, 5 years here. So yeah, it's been a long journey, I would say. Majority of my experience spans around how to embed diversity inclusion in the hiring strategies of the companies, helping them scaling and integrating more welcoming and inclusive workplaces and cultures. And I'm here today. I'm happy to be here today. I think this is a really important topic, and I'm really looking forward to get the insights as well from the panelists and from you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is James, and I'm super happy to be here as well. I started my software engineering career about 13, 14 years ago. And about 4 to 5 years ago, I transitioned into engineering management. And currently, I'm working at Reddit as an engineering manager. And today, I'm really happy to join the other panelists to talk about how we can actually have inclusion in our code and architectures, and especially when you are building for global users, diverse audience. And I also I'm looking forward to learn from everyone and from you as well.
Hi, and I'm Christina, and I'm currently a staff software engineer here at IO, the venue today. But previously, I have also worked as an engineering manager and director of engineering. But then I went back to the hands-on work about a year ago. I've been in the industry since around 2012, and one of my interests is like helping build distributed teams, like with multiple cultures, nationalities, time zones, etc.
Thank you, everyone. I turned it off just in case. So throughout the chat, we're going to be talking around inclusive design and engineering practices, the future of talent and AI, and then building inclusive teams overall. So on the next slide, there is, is the QR code there, Annabelle? For the slider. So at the very end, we're going to do a Q&A session. but you can enter the number into slido.com if you want to, as you think of a question when everyone is talking that you want to ask. I can also, if you want to speak into the microphone, you can, but if you don't feel you want to do it just so you remember your question, you can also log it onto slido.com. If you do go into slido.com, if my technology device works for me, the QR code is 1854315. That's, I feel like I'm a game show. The code on slido.com is 1854315. Or hopefully you can scan that. But that will be at the end. We're going to hear from our panelists first and talk about all of the topics that I've mentioned. Yeah. Cool. So with regards to building how diverse backgrounds, culture, gender, and neurodiversity shape collaboration and innovation. Working in global teams like Berlin means collaborating across languages, time zones, cultures. What day-to-day practices have helped make sure everyone feels included, heard, whether they're newcomers, non-native speakers, or just everyone overall?
I have worked and lived across different cultures. So I have experienced firsthand what does it mean to be left out, how to be proactive, to be seen and heard. So I take it on me to not do this to my remote teams at the moment. In the time of having remote teams, and I hope that becomes a norm, the inclusion is not just a slogan, right? Inclusion is integrated, should be integrated in the workplace. Meaning today, it is my job today to make sure that everyone is included regardless where they are, in which office they are sitting today, correct? So basically, we need to make sure that this comes at the design of the environment. It's not coming as an add-on or something to amplify on your EVP or employer branding. It's something that you live by every single day. A lot of people is actually saying, oh, if we have diverse team, this is it. We had the target. No, diversity alone doesn't hit the target. So if you are not including them, inviting them to the decision-making rooms or having their voice heard, it is not inclusion. So basically, inclusion is driving the innovation. Inclusion is driving the creativity. Inclusion is driving the performance today. So making sure that this comes actually as an integration of the workplace. You don't just say sit there and pray it happens by miracle. And we need to be very careful about that, because today, seeing the geopolitics and how it affects the diversity and inclusion topics, it's really sad to see that a lot of companies are just putting this on the side or ignoring that topic. So I think this is becoming more and more a crucial topic to cover, making sure that we building systems that ensures equal access to everyone, and that you have equal voice heard for everyone as well.
Absolutely. Olivia, from your experience, what makes the biggest difference in helping people of all intersectionalities, whether it's women, neurodivergent colleagues, LGBTQIA+ community, people of all underrepresented backgrounds thrive in technology teams? Are there any, in your experience as founding your own business, are there any leadership, mentorships, or hiring practices that truly empower everyone to contribute their best work?
Yeah, I think this question is actually at the core of what diversity and inclusion is actually about. How do we make sure that people not just fit in, but actually they feel empowered? They feel like this place is just perfect for them. They feel included and they feel belonging to the team and the organization. And yeah, it's been quite an adventure also for me as a kind of fresh person on the managerial position. But I think I took quite a simple and naive approach by just asking people a very simple question. What can we do, or what I can do to make sure that you thrive in your current role? So I have this very kind of individual approach to all the team members that I manage. And I learned that my team is very diverse. So we have different brain types and the people kind of preferring to work in a different way. So I feel like now it's my job to make sure that all of those ways of working are accommodated for. I can give you a couple of very specific examples because I know what I said, it may be a bit abstract. In my team, I have people who really like very regular feedback. And for example, people who like to work on a very kind of short increments and getting feedback very quickly, which means maybe we have one-on-one meetings every day when it makes sense, or every week, that we make sure that we aligned and the person gets what they need. And then other people in my team who it's enough that we will meet once in a month, understand the requirements, and then they disappear for a month because they know what makes them the most productive, and it's not hanging out in the meetings. And then after a month, they emerge from the cave with kind of the ready solution. So yeah, we have different ways of working. I think the kind of the core question is now, how do we incorporate all of that into the team? So I think there's still a lot of value in having clear structure and so around processes, about being transparent, how things work in the team. And this, what I learned, helps especially, for example, the neurodivergent folks. So to kind of play the game, you need to know what are the rules of the game. This can be as simple as agreeing with the whole team, what are our ways of working, or if you know the concept of pull requests, if you want to publish a piece of work that you just finished, and then you discuss kind of what is the scope. Should we maybe make this adjustment now, or should we wait until this is merged and continue working on it later? So having those confrontational situations within the team, I think they're also quite manageable if you agreed on some rules prior, how we want to work. So if we say we don't increase the scope, that's the rule, then it makes sense that there's no discussion about, hey, what do? We all know because we agreed on this beforehand. So yeah, just a bunch of ideas that worked for me and for my team so far. But here I just want to highlight the kind of individual approach to ask people actually, what do you need for you to thrive in this role? And then making sure that also processes around the ways of working in the team are clear, and that the processes are also, this is maybe the most important part, created from the team and not created by me just for the sake of having processes, but having processes to make sure that they are for the people in the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to plus one to that as well. So like inclusion is about including everyone, no one left behind. And also one thing that I've learned is there are two types of people. There are people that think on the spot. You have a problem and you are brainstorming. They have idea right away. And there are people that need to kind of like reflect a little bit to be able to provide solution. So the only way to kind of like give everybody an equal platform is to accommodate these two types of people. These are the two types of people I've really seen in my teams in the past. So, and maybe one thing that I usually do is like letting people know, hey, this is what we want to brainstorm about one day before the meeting. And this allow everybody to think ahead, reflect. So if we will just come to the meeting before they know what it is, what is happening is that we are empowering people who think on the spot. And people who need time to reflect, they are not able to bring their ideas forward. So by being tweaking the process to make sure it works for everyone, this is also one way we can build an inclusive team. I just want to add to what you mentioned. Yeah.
I definitely agree with the point around knowing what the meeting is about beforehand, because I don't know if anybody else can relate, but the dreaded catch-up subject to a meeting, and everyone panics and they don't know what it's going to be about. So yeah.
Can I add just one more thing?
Of course.
Very important. I think I mentioned like different types of people we have in the team. This also has an impact in different communication styles. So what I noticed is that written communication is very often much more clear and understandable, but by everyone. And for example, in the making technical decisions, there's this concept of request for comment. So you publish a technical decision or a problem looking for a technical decision, and then you collaborate on it on a technical document together to make to reach a decision. I think this works way better than coming up with decisions during the meeting, because there's this bias that's in the meeting. You're only gonna hear from people who are the loudest, and not necessarily for people who actually are able to contribute the most on a given topic. So yeah, having different communication channels, so written communication and oral communication, but also synchronous and asynchronous, so that people can process stuff in their own time, was very beneficial to our team. I think this RFC approach with technical documents has really enabled us to make some really good technical decisions. So I can recommend.
I have just one point actually, because this point is great. I just want to add something that might come in handy for the communication part, which is the language barrier, right? But basically, I think the language barrier usually is forgotten. Basically, we are not native speakers at the end of the day. So even in the written communication, we should be, for example, just pulling away from jargons and breaking down the information in a simple way, in simple language, simple, plain English, and making sure that even those, for those who have been relocated, the language is something actually that can, the companies today can provide courses, whether in English or in German, just for people to feel integrated, more integrated. But yeah, this was a great point.
You all look at me to say, can I say, of course you're going to say something else. It is a panel discussion and that's what we're here for. So what I want to discuss is how we rethink qualified talent to attract, whether it's women, whether it's people of all underrepresented groups, and what has or maybe hasn't worked in overcoming the challenges to building more inclusive tech teams. Yeah.
I can start. So I think I can start off by saying that today we have to revamp what qualified is, right? Qualified has been when we are, identifying qualified candidate, we are looking about the historical access of that person, not the historical capability and ability, right? So we're looking, and I have seen this through different hiring managers, specific universities, specific years of experience, but this is for those who had linear kind of career path. So for those who have been navigating their career in a like non-linear path, they don't have that access, they will be filtered out. Unfortunately, that's why we need today to put another definition for the qualified candidates, so we don't filter out underrepresented groups or women or those who don't have the privilege to that access. And this is a journey. So it's not going to happen today and then this is it. But the key is today to move from that traditional way of looking at the qualified candidates and looking more about skills-based kind of hiring. Meaning today, resume is something that you read, but you don't just filter out people according to that. You have to read between the lines. You don't have to have specific years of experience or specific fancy universities on your resume today to be able to land a job. And this comes from within, right? So it starts from how your job description today is written, right? It should not be demanding. It should not be a non-inclusive kind of language. We need to understand even the language today can scare away candidates. Today, women, they don't apply for all jobs if they don't have this readiness of the job. If I don't fit 100%, I will not be applying. And I still like, if you look at the job posting today on any job platform, they suck. They suck. Actually, how on earth role description have 10 tasks to do or 11 tasks, and then what is the impact of that position? So basically, we need to understand how to sell the role-specific kind of positions, how to actually encourage people to apply, revamp today the way that we are doing the process. So the heavy lifting is on the interviewing process, not on the screening, because the heavy lifting is I am actually assessing your competency, and your ability to work, not your historical past and your historical career path. Again, at ATSs today, AI, like a lot of systems today, might be screening out underrepresented groups, women from that norm. So we need to understand how that actually is affecting. Looking at the statistics, it's really hard to say that today, like just 14% of leadership positions in tech are held by women. This is sad, very sad. So today, the education should start by educating our hiring managers about what is nice to have, what's must to have, and how we are actually selling that position. So we need them to understand how to run the interviews, how to run an inclusive interview. This is first, and how to think about diverse panels. So today, if diversity is not in the process, people will not be happy to be actually hired in these companies. So even if every part of the process is important, from job description to the assessment, to the presence of the process, to the hiring process, the onboarding experience, everything matters.
Yeah, I think that also until recently, even without taking diversity into account, like what you mentioned about the job description has like these 10 bullet points that show a very specific template of we want the kind of technical guru, but without a highlight on what are the interpersonal skills. And many times we have realized that, okay, this person can be very productive individually, but when you are working within a team, maybe it is okay to be a bit weaker technically if you can help elevate everybody. So I think it is much more challenging to design an interview that can identify those parts, but you can reshape a bit for engineering roles in particular, and thinking not just having like technical interview and then secondary importance to, okay, a bit of team interaction, but having like technical, strategic vision and communication, communication at different levels within the team and with stakeholders at different levels of management, and that can give you a bit more of a clear overview of the whole package. But it is difficult to design and also to run, as you said, like people need to be trained specifically to see the signs.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, everything matters, right? Today, even the job description, if it says 5 years of experience of React, so if we can just take that away and say demonstrated experience in, front end stack. So this is like more welcoming than having like exact wording for something that might really scare away people. If they, okay, I don't have 4 years of experience, I will not fit the criteria. So we need to be really careful about writing the job description, because this is the gate actually for every company today, how they are being seen, what are the impact the people that will have once they are hired. So how you are laying out the role specific is really important.
Yes, thank you for sharing these points about job description. I actually have this anecdotal evidence to share. Hiring for my company, we obviously posted the job ad online, and then someone actually gave me this feedback that I was wondering why not so many women apply for this when I didn't post it anywhere. It was just an open ad on the website. But someone gave me this feedback that actually the language I was using in this job ad, and it was written by me actually, so by a woman, was very masculine. So it was all about kind of challenges and tackling and kind of growing and impact. So I used this online tool that actually highlights those issues with language that is maybe too polarized one direction or the other, and suggests some more neutral alternatives. That was very nice, and I think I'm gonna continue using this in the future, definitely.
Actually, to your point as well, looking at how we are actually encouraging women, I see a lot of recruiters sometimes they see the career breaks and the career givers breaks as a penalty, not as a adding context to that story. So basically, we should be normalizing the caregiving career breaks and making sure that we have to integrate them back in the workplace and how to integrate them back in the workplace. So a lot of companies, unfortunately, they are putting back on the internship programs. I have seen this a lot as a trend where they are just want someone with 10 years of experience hired now as of yesterday. So these kind of internship programs or welcoming back those who have had career-giving breaks and integrating them in the workplace would add more to the workforce as well in terms of inclusivity and diversity.
Yeah, I wanted to share something, a mistake that I made and one lesson that I learned from it. So a few years ago, I was hiring an engineering lead into one of the teams that I manage. And then there was this super great candidate. They went through the interview and they passed. And at the end, we were trying to extend an offer. And then we set up a meet the team meeting with the person. And then they saw that the team they were going to lead were all men. So then they declined. And we figured out why. And they said, like, so I'm going to be the only woman in this team leading them. I don't feel comfortable. So I spoke to my manager, hey, how can I address this? Like, for example, they're all men. There's nothing I can do. I need to change it. And it gave me a tip that really stuck with me. He said, I should really come clean right from the hiring manager interview. Let the candidate know, hey, so this team is all men. I'm trying to fix that. So this is what you're going to see. And I really hope we can partner together to fix this. So that's saying that we kind of like make them feel comfortable. So I know we are all in tech and there is a chance that you are battling with the same problem. So more or less like coming clean right from the beginning. It's one way we can also work with it.
So we're going to move into the subject of embedding inclusion into design, engineering, and collaboration. We're probably already touching upon these subjects as we're speaking naturally, but this is kind of really focusing on what when you think inclusive engineering should really become apparent, and what does that really look like in action, and how does it influence team culture and innovation?
So I think that for like inclusivity to be delivered, so to say, as part of a product, it has to be considered like a first-class product requirement, like any other functional requirement, and not just like an afterthought. And I can see at least two critical stages of the engineering process where this can happen, which is at the beginning during like the requirements gathering, let's say, and also during testing. So it has to be through the whole process, but I think these two particular are critical. So during the initial stages of the requirements gathering, even though right now we're talking about inclusivity as a bucket, I think it is like very different to say support multiple languages or different levels of access to network connectivity or accessibility guidelines. All of these have nothing to do with each other when you get to the implementation stage. So first of all, even though ideally we would want our products to be inclusive in all aspects, we need to set a goal. What is our most important target at the moment? Typical, let's avoid the scope creep. And give the teams enough time to identify what are the different challenges, what are all the different aspects coming for this particular topic, because usually they're not going to be familiarized with it and there's going to be unexpected things. So to give a concrete example, with a previous team I work here at IO, we came up with a particular update flow for our application, and we later discovered, speaking with prospect partners, that apparently the penetration rate of 4G is much higher than Wi-Fi in certain countries. So we needed to reduce this update flow to make it, for example, a lot less network intensive. And yeah, our initial assumption was like, okay, standard European, you're gonna go eventually to your house and have Wi-Fi. And yeah, that's not the case for everybody. So the same could happen with language, accessibility, anything. And there's gonna be a lot of unexpected situations. And then second point, during testing, so it is never gonna be possible to automate all the tests related to inclusivity, because a lot of them are related to language. Like, is this understandable? Have you provided alternative messages or alternative text for all the images on your page? Some of these, yes, you're going to be able to automate, but others are going to require manual testing. So the team has to be very aware of what is the level of compliance that they want to reach. Like, are we just going to go all the way in, or are we going to reach certain level and then do very conscious design about what is the combination of automated and manual testing, and yeah, ensure that any automation is consistently run. But yeah, based on my experience introducing some of these considerations into previous products, I think that it is always a positive evolution, because the team, with time, they're going to gain a lot more awareness, and also they're going to become better at it. Initially, it's going to be like scrambling around, like, okay, what can we figure out? But with time, they're going to go a bit more into this kind of edge case mentality. And with that, they're going to start identifying, like, by themselves, like, new groups that they can target. So it becomes like a bit more like empathy. What are the possible audiences? But it's also kind of like a business opportunity, which I guess, after all, that's why we're all there. So yeah, I think it's a double benefit from both a human perspective, but also innovation/business perspective.
Yeah, on 1%. So like, if we look at every single product that people build, it starts really, really small, right? We call it MVP. And at that point in time, you identify your core users, the people that are actually generating the most revenue, the 20% generating 80% of your revenue. So what most companies do is to focus on that core users. So it's a well-meaning intention, but you're also excluding some certain users. So you get feedback from them continuously, you build for their needs, and then you exclude others. So over time, it becomes a cycle that keeps reinforcing itself. So at that point, the question we should be asking is, who are supposed to be using this product and are not using it because it's not usable for them, and why? And then we start to solve for that. And another thing is, engineers, like, we probably one of the most privileged in this society, right? Economically, we probably run on the best hardware, the best laptop. We have the best mobile phones, fast internet where we work, and probably at our house. So it's pretty easy for us to think everybody in the world live the same way and they have the same environment. So we run our code, and then we don't verify the impact it has on battery, because we feel power is cheap everywhere. We also don't know, we kind of like don't resize images. We don't do a lot of stuff because we feel data is cheap everywhere. And then we run all of this without actually being mindful on the memory, because we think everybody has high iPhone and the memory. So all of these cause problem for users. And there are tiny ways where we get bias and exclude certain users. And when it comes to inclusivity, it's all about access to everyone. Uh, and the key thing is, as we build it today, we need to kind of like understand, hey, what are the things that I need to check to make sure like this product is accessible, and this also include the language that we support, etc.
I think that brings us nicely into the next question. You've already started to touch upon it around building for a global audience and how you make sure your products and your processes truly work for people from different backgrounds and with different abilities dependent on location and varying things.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So all of these is practically impossible without having good analytics, right? So it's very cost ineffective if you just build for users to use, right? So you need to look at your apps, the journeys from where are people dropping off and why are they dropping off? And then when you try to do user research, don't just focus on a narrow audience, expand a lot more. So you get to see different ways people use your product. And I'm going to pick an experience for maybe 5 years ago or maybe more. So at that point in time, we were building this product, and React was getting mainstream at that point in time. So we wanted to modernize the application. We wanted to use React. We wanted to use all these cool technologies. Then we built everything. We tested it on Chrome. We tested it on Firefox. We tested it on all modern browser. For like everybody should be on Chrome, right? Everybody should be on Firefox. And then we did test it on Internet Explorer. And so we will be using Internet Explorer. Then we started to look at the adoption, and then we were like, something is wrong. Why is this thing not being adopted? Why are people bouncing off? It turns out the app didn't work on Internet Explorer. And we have a huge chunk of users who are using Internet Explorer. So what am I saying? Looking at your data as well to really understand. And when you do user research, casting your net a lot wider. And then the second part that I want to phrase around here is also creating a proper test environment that reflects your audience. We shouldn't, as you test on maybe the latest Samsung Galaxy, you also want to test on probably some low-end devices to see how it works as well. And all of this helps you to make sure you build a product that is global and serve global audience. And the last part that I want to is, I think innovation actually comes when you have diverse people in the room. So I've been in a meeting where people tell me, oh, this is not how it works in India. In the Philippines, it's different. And that was really possible because we have people from this part of the world who are helping us to see. So if you're building a product and you are all men, so you are excluding some diverse perspective that you will not be getting. And that's what innovation is all about.
When it comes to, so looking, I guess, kind of less at the product that's actually been built, but in day-to-day things such as stand-ups, code reviews, what have you found really helps make sure everyone's voice is heard, regardless of how confident they are, how senior they are in the team, whatever it may be? Can you share an example where making a process more inclusive improved the team's work on that product? I think, again, you've almost started to hint to it. So
yeah, I can also start this. So when it comes to career growth, communication is part of it, right? And leadership, which is it's also about directing, is a part of leadership. And all of these, they don't come if people don't have, they don't practice. The more you practice, the more you get better. When I first started managing a team, so what we would do is we would either have the most senior engineer, is going to run the meetings, and sometimes is going to run all the brainstorming sessions, is going to do the design and all that, or sometimes the product manager. So what was happening is that I was disempowering the team. So it's before the people who speak louder a lot more. So I was not growing everybody equally. So I realized that to be able to make the process inclusive, do a round robin, rotate it, make sure everybody has a chance. Maybe some people don't like it, But over time, they grow. Everybody is able to run stand-ups, they get feedback, and then they learn from their colleagues as well. And all of these help to kind of like grow the team a lot more. And another part of career growth is advocacy. Like if you do something and nobody know about it, nobody knows about it, it's probably not done. And there are people who are pretty good at advocating for themselves. And there are people, they just want to be humble, like they are not. So as a manager, it's likely for people who advocate for themselves to grow, to get that next opportunity, right, than people who don't. So one way is to also kind of like fill that gap, help them, advocate for them, teach them. And in my experience, I remember this specific engineer who does really, really great work, but it doesn't like, to him, it felt like showing off. And I had to like sit down, hey, you did it. Like if something's to fall in the forest and nobody knows about it, it didn't happen. So you need to be able to, and kind of like everybody, kind of like coaching him and giving him that perspective and supporting as much as possible, making sure he gets projects that he can do was pretty helpful. So I think inclusivity when it comes to leading is also knowing all the people you lead in the team, their strength and where you need to kind of like help them fill the gap and grow them equally.
Yeah, I think those are all like really, really good points. And I would like to reiterate on one of them with also my personal experience, the one about normalizing everybody doing a bit of everything or giving them access to do everything. So we used to have in one of the teams Scrum Masters that would run some of the events, and at some point we stopped having them. And we decided that everybody was gonna participate in the process, and we went through the same transition of friction. Some people saying this is no part of my job. A few iterations with more or less success, but eventually I think everybody finds something they are learning through this process and something that can be of interest to them. So even if they don't want to be anything close to a Scrum Master, there is like, oh, well, I guess today I learned about how to present this a bit better, or I learned something about strategic thinking today. And that spark is what gets them engaged in slightly different angles of the job. Also about what you mentioned on like not having the senior being the default. One thing that I found quite successful was also in a way forcing, for example, code reviews to be always run by multiple people, which eventually forces the team to have like the junior person contribute to those, because yeah, the workload has to be distributed among multiple ones. And that in multiple occasions help like the seniors realize, oh, this is a very different thinking that comes simply from someone who is not that familiar with this code base or that have learned different techniques. And then it becomes a learning exercise for everybody again. And I think that is super valuable. And until you see it in practice, it's not intuitive how much supposedly junior colleagues can help the seniors learn.
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing about what you, James, said about kind of creating visibility about around the work that the team members are doing. Because obviously, it was quite obvious for me when I was a software engineer and I was delivering the thing that it's part of the task. The other part of the task is making sure that it's kind of promoted and everyone knows that they can use it now or that the users know about it. But now in my current role, it became clear for me that now it's my job to make sure that everyone's work is also visible in my team. So this can be as simple as making sure that everyone has access to those cool, kind of very visible, very impactful projects, and not just the loudest people. And then, contrary to that, making sure that this type of like glue work, which usually lands on women or people who like don't know how to advocate for themselves and don't like to do this, is also equally distributed. That this work has to be done, but everyone gets to participate. And another thing which I found is quite important is kind of also working on maybe like periodical occasion on performance review. I also started to ask my team, like, hey, can you provide me a list of accomplishments, of things that you've worked on, that you delivered, which for me is then input to make a decision either about, I don't know, salary increase or a promotion. But I think even the more important aspect is that it creates a paper trail of what this person did. So then it's basically avoids the bias of saying like, oh, I'm giving a promotion to this person and not that because, I don't know, I feel like it. I have a paper trail of who did what. We can even go a step further and see how much business impact each of those accomplishments had. And I think also for the person who provides me with this bullet points of all the accomplishments is also a nice thing to kind of retrospectively look and revise kind of your year or half a year.
Just one thing, as you were saying, you inspired me, and I wanted to add something. So one thing that I did or I learned a few years ago that was really, really impactful is letting people come into the team. Like in this team, everyone is a project leader. So everyone is able to lead project. And it was a pretty big gamble. So I do have staff engineers, technical leads, and then also people not that senior. So then why would a junior or less senior engineer be leading the project when we have a technical lead? But it paid off. So it kind of like boosted confidence. So what I would do is to make sure, look at the strength of this person, their career growth, and things they need, and assign the project they're going to lead. And I also made it clear, what is the expectation? What do I expect from anyone leading a project? And what are the guidelines to lead a project successfully? And when I see a project that is pretty risky, and I know that this person is a little bit too junior to lead it, then I will assign someone who's a lot more senior. Hey, I want you to play a supporting role. Look at where this person might drop the ball and help him pick up. He runs the show, or the person runs the show. Just kind of like support them. And this was awful. It gave everybody equal access, and it kind of like grew everyone on the team to be able to say, hey, I'll lead this, I'll lead it, I'll lead that.
Thank you, everyone. This is the final section to our panel discussion, and this is looking at the future of talent in AI in technology teams related to the future of talent and diversity, equity and inclusion. And it's a topic that everyone is talking about, of course, at the minute. But with many companies hiring or potentially hiring fewer junior engineers and relying more on AI, what risks do you see for diversity and innovation over the long term?
So if I can be completely blunt, I think that the industry is being like very short-sighted at the moment. Because sure, it is true that senior engineers can be more productive with the use of AI. But well, at some point, we're all going to move somewhere else, or we're going to retire, and then somebody is gonna have to come and replace us. And then, well, good luck having AI figuring out what your code base does. But I find quite interesting that ageism was previously more like focused on the older people, where we could have gained value from their longer career experience, but we decided that no, you're too attached to the old ways. If you lose your job when you're 50, you're no longer valuable. And now we're doing the same to the youngest generations. So we're narrowing the, let's say, hireable window more and more, until we just like run out of a pool. And thinking specifically like about the young people and the fresh graduates, junior engineers, I think this can become very problematic, not just because of the talent replacement, but also when it comes to understanding the younger audiences. Like, they have a perspective that those in our 30s, 40s, 50s are just never gonna have. So this can also impact the innovation. It can impact product success. Like, if your products only target the older audiences, then eventually interest will dwindle. You will lose market share. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens, say, in 2 or 5 years, when some of these trends start becoming more obvious.
Maybe yeah, does it work? Okay, I can add something. Yeah, I'm also, I would say I'm like, I'm a bit cautious but slightly optimistic about AI. I know that right now it's kind of turning everything inside out or upside down, and a lot of companies, that's what I've heard, are either stopping hiring because they are kind of replacing the potential new roles with usage of AI. But I can totally see that this is not the case, that this is just a justification of layoff or like hiring freeze, and the reasons are more economical than just the use of AI. And also, on the other hand, I can totally see the opposite being true as well. So, for example, having preferences for junior candidates rather than senior candidates because they are kind of AI native, because the AI tools, they were kind of at the forefront, and since the beginning, since they started to work in IT. So I think it's a big question mark, but there's definitely a lot of impact.
Every time. We've seen, so we're all talking about the AI boom, and it's shaking things up in tech, not just in the tools we use, but in how teams are built and work together. How do you think AI is changing the way we collaborate and grow teams today?
Maybe I can also start. So I mentioned that I'm slightly optimistic about the AI. I think there's a huge opportunity in using like AI power tools, specifically in software engineering. The way I see this is this tool is a huge amplifier. It really kind of democratizes almost access to software engineering, because you can start building, if you have an idea for a product, for a business, you can start building with all the knowledge that you can find online and with the AI tools. So maybe you don't need to go and study computer science for 5 years. On the other hand, of course, if you're too reliant on those tools, then maybe you end up lacking certain kind of ground knowledge that is needed for software engineering. I think that right now I see AI as a kind of amplifier of skills, of experience. But I still don't think that the development of AI is far enough to be talking about replacing people in the company. I feel like when I work as a software engineer, when I work with AI tools, it feels like I have an intern that I can rely on, but it's not very good either. I still have to check everything. But I'm very curious how those different AI tools are going to develop and how they're going to kind of shape the team and how we work.
Just to add a couple of points, I totally agree. But for me, I'm still on the fence about AI. I have so many takes on that because from my perspective, I always say, let the machine automate and let the human innovate. So basically, we need still to be the innovation and the creation center, right? So there is like a lot of A/B testing today. This is one thing. And I see like a lot of companies are rushing to just follow the trend and let's just have an AI. AI on a wrong foundation is going to cultivate wrong results. So think about today the performance process in the company. If it's a biased process, if you are implementing AI, the result will be biased as well. So basically, we need to fix foundation before just rushing and implementing AI, and looking at the norms that they will be neglected throughout the process. So the interns, the professionals with so many years of experience, women in tech, we need to rethink how we are actually integrating them in the workforce. So today, if the AI is taking the ugly and the admin tasks, how we can get the interns yet to have more experience. So not to just, okay, we will not be having any intern programship or programs anymore, or we don't want to, support scholars or women in tech or whatever. So we need to rethink about how we are integrating those norms back in the workplace and the work culture and the workforce. And basically, the second thing that I would add is today, there's a huge opportunity, I know, in different industries and in different angles of having that AI. But a lot of A/B testing is going to be taking place. So basically, there's like a lot of aspects today we cannot replace with AI. So you cannot have an AI do the whole recruitment process. You can let it maybe filter out or doing something. I'm against doing sourcing and filtering out through just AI. I still need human connections. I still need humans to be present in some operations. So approaching that with cautious and being more mindful about the results and having the right foundations for the implementation. So not just rushing and saying, oh, okay, today let's have everyone back at their home and then let's just do AI. We need human beings at the end of the day.
Final question for everyone. How do you see AI shaping the future overall of how teams collaborate, how we grow, how we innovate? Overarching final question.
Yeah, I think the trend that I'm seeing is that AI is making its way into how we collaborate, and there are some good things from there, and there are also some other bad side to it. For example, people can have meeting, and then you can have AI automatically take notes. So each time that I read those notes, maybe if I wasn't in that meeting, there are usually some things that I'm not getting. For example, maybe non-verbal communication, or maybe the summary was just too kind of like lacks a lot of context. It was good we don't have to type it, but that has always been missing. And the good side that I'm also seeing is over time, a lot of companies have created wikis about almost everything, a lot of information happening, flying around. So AI, there are tools that is able to work on all of those information. Think of Chat GPT just for your own company alone. So you need information about something, you can subscribe to it, and every single morning, it kind of like gives you all the conversation happening around that certain thing, and then links to go on there. So that's a good thing. But what I see is the human connection that comes with collaborating with someone, where you actually feel like, oh, I trust this person, I enjoy working with this person. It's hard to replace with AI, in my opinion.
So one of the things I'm excited about is to see how AI helps to like close the gap between the technical and the non-technical teams, because there are like always opportunities for automation regardless of the team you belong to. But the learning curve for a non-technical person even to come up with a prototype that was remotely close to anything they wanted to do was previously very high, whereas now it's much easier to get to that level through experimentation, through conversations with an agent, and at least help them figure out what is it that they want exactly, what could it look like, and then be in a better place to start a conversation with an engineering team instead of like the previously very disconnected of, I want this, and the engineering team replying, but that doesn't make any sense. At least this helps them like start slightly closer to each other and yeah, I've already seen a couple of examples of people from finance teams or HR teams try things out, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what happens next.
Although I am still on the fence, but I totally agree with you because basically, as I have said, AI will take the ugly tasks that we hate in the today in the people function or the finance function or any other functions that they do have the support. Basically. I see that as a window for us to understand how we can today take the benefit of having the AI in the place in the workplace by having more collaboration and more inclusivity. How we are thinking about remote teams working with AI today as well. So, as I have said, wrong foundation cannot have a good implementation at the end of the day, and companies need to be mindful about that implementation. But it will be a window for us to stay actually creative and innovative if we think about what tasks or what to give AI versus what to give human beings today in the workplace. And thinking about today, all of these talents that they will be I would say replaced by AI, and hopefully they will not. How to leverage the skills in different things, right? Today, everyone in the company should be a coder, a programmer, and everyone in the company should know about finance, and everyone should be knowing a bit of everything because you'll never know what's going to happen. We'll never know what is going to be the skill set needed in the future. So we should be starting leveraging skills for everyone in the workplace and making sure that everyone has a room and access to that kind of trainings and skill knowledge and knowledge share because the AI has the knowledge but doesn't have the experience. I would say the day-to-day challenges that we do have maybe, or it can aggregate the data and the information that you cannot get from one platform, but at the end of the day you are actually the one who will be deciding what to take and what not to take. So yes, there is a room of development, but there is like a lot of A/B testing at the moment as well.
Yeah, maybe I can share some final thoughts on this topic. I really liked what you said, Ibtihal, about AI taking the boring parts of the job, and that's my hope for it. I really wish that will happen and not the other way around, which is our jobs becoming maybe more boring because of AI did the fun part, for example, in software engineering. And I also don't really see a lot of space for AI, for example, in hiring, in diversity and inclusion topics, for example, because we are all aware that people have different biases that are kind of maybe unspoken, and maybe we can learn about them while having some insights. But the problem with AI is that it's very confident and the biases are kind of not discoverable. So as I mentioned before, I see AI as a kind of amplifier of skills and of experience, but probably of biases as well. So I'll be very cautious in using AI tools for hiring.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We're going to jump into the Q&A session.